John Colin Shaw. I was born in Ivanhoe in 1944. We lived in 7 Ormond Road in Eaglemont, and we could walk to the station at Eaglemont Station, or we could walk to East Ivanhoe Shopping Centre, which is where we did most of the shopping, and East Ivanhoe, or Ivanhoe East Primary School, number 4386. Well, I've got a brother, Robin, who's 3 years younger than me, a sister, Christine, who's 6 years younger than me, and then my youngest sister is Sonia, and she's 11 years younger than me. We lived in a modest house. My brother and I shared a bedroom. My 2 sisters shared a bedroom, and my father built the bunks that we slept on. So it was good fun. Pretty good. I can't remember that much, but they were there, they looked after us, they made sure that we went to school. They certainly provided everything that they possibly could for us. School was great. I enjoyed going to school. We, of course, walked to school. We walked from our house to Ivanhoe East Primary School, and I think we probably walked alone once we were in grade 1 or grade 2, because my mother didn't have a car at that stage, and she'd be home minding my brother or my sister or my sisters, and so therefore we were expected to walk to school, and we did, and it was fine. I was lucky that I was able to understand what was going on. I liked arithmetic, and so I was quite okay. I was pretty terrible at spelling. I don't think I'm dyslexic, but I wasn't good at spelling, but everything else was fun and easy. Well, the worst adventure was, I think I was in grade 2 when I fell off the school slide and broke my arm. And I think I was taken to the headmaster's office, and I think one of my parents, probably my father, came to collect me with my broken arm with a bit of bone sticking out of my arm, and taken to the surgery in Ivanhoe to have it fixed. When they took an x-ray of the other arm, they found that was broken too. We'd play pretend tennis with a ping pong ball in a little spot next to the back door, but it was only really football or cricket, and mini golf. My father made a little mini golf course on the back grass, the black lawn, and we had some really old hickory shafted clubs and could play mini golf. So that was fun. I got my first part-time job when I was probably, I'm not sure whether I would have been 12 or 14, and I worked in a paint shop in Moonee Ponds. So that was my very first job. And then after that, I graduated to being a service station attendant, when you used to have people that served you petrol and cleaned your windscreens. I did. I was very lucky. I was lucky because my parents, who had both only gone to year 8, spoke to neighbours, one of whom was an accountant, and decided that I could keep going to school. Instead of finishing at year 8, I could at least keep going to year 11 and become an accountant. But by the time I got to year 11, I was doing okay at school, and lots of my friends were continuing, so my parents essentially said, we've fed you up till now, we'll keep feeding you, it's not going to cost us any more, you've got a part-time job, and you can go to university. And I was lucky, I won a Commonwealth scholarship. They offered me a job at the end of my degree, but I chose to do a master's degree, which was another couple of years. And at the end of that time, then I started working full-time, and I started as works chemist at Laminex Industries. So I was the guy who looked after the chemistry for the production of Laminex and the quality control and plastic flooring and plastic pipes. And it was really just the start of professional management. And there weren't that many graduates working in industry at that time. And I was really lucky that ACI at that stage chose to introduce a management training program for all of its managers. And although I had only just started work, I was lucky enough to be put onto this course. I had a terrific girlfriend who I had known in high school, and then I went to university, and Sandra, who was my girlfriend, went to Teachers College, and then, because she was working, she had enough money to buy a car. It was an FJ Holden, powder grey, and powder, I mean, it was powdery and peeling, of coming off. So yes, she was my girlfriend all through high school, all through university, and then finally, when I'd finished my master's degree and got a proper job, we were able to get married. Yes, I think I have. Well, I'd missed saying something when I was at McLeod High School, my secondary school. I was lucky to be in the school Air Force Cadets, because when you're in the school Air Force Cadets, at least back then, they award flying scholarships. So I was lucky when I was 16 years old to win a flying scholarship. So over the Christmas holidays between year 11 and 12, I went off to Laverton and learnt to fly tiger moths. So that was a bit of luck, a bit of fun. I think the technique was that you had about 6 or 7 hours of instruction, or I did, about 6 or 7 hours of instruction, and then you went for your first solo. Oh, yes. A happy wife is a happy life. Is that Marion going out the door? You can edit that bit out. Well, it was very difficult when my first wife, Sandra, died. That was very difficult, yes. She had cancer, and you always think that someone's going to get better, and it's a tragedy when they don't. I thought the treatment was working okay, and she'd had a couple of periods where she'd appeared to get better, but it really wasn't until the last few days that I realised that this time was going to be different. She wasn't going to recover. Um, you try to keep going. And luckily I was working. My 2 daughters looked after me. So, yep, you keep going. I'm lucky I've got 2 great daughters, Kiralee and Sally. They're both terrific. They're both quite independent. They both went to the local primary school, and then they both went to Strathcona. And I think they both enjoyed that as well. They're both kind and generous. I think they are. Yeah, the things that matter. Well, I think to be generally optimistic, to generally say, yes, I can do it, to give it a go, and if you're lucky enough to have the wherewithal, you can probably do it okay. Well, one place is called the Devil's Pool, and that's at the top of the Victoria Falls. I liked walking through the arch at the end of the track for the Inca Trail and looking down over Machu Picchu. And then after that we went off and had a look at the Galapagos, which was terrific. Back to Brazil, looked at the Iguazu Falls. When you go swimming in the Iguazu Falls, it's lovely, hot and steamy. And then, absolute chance, it was my birthday, and we arrived in Rio, and it was Carnivale. So I always say, Marion says, oh, it's John's birthday, I'll take him to Carnivale. Well, I was never chief executive of a company, so I could fly my own aeroplane. I thought that might happen, but it didn't happen. There aren't too many things to regret because you can't change them now. You can't. And it would have been better if I don't know, if I had have made that a better tennis serve, or if I had have done something else, if I had have, but who cares? You move on. I'm proud that I've got 2 daughters who are independent and look after their children. Trying to do things better, but being fairly content with what you've got. So things that you can control, try to do things as well as you possibly can. Things that you can't control, don't get too hung up about them. As an honest guy who did his job, who, I don't know, didn't go around saying, look at me, look at me. Every morning when I get up, if I'm up for it during the week, then I walk down to the river. The river means that you've got down to the bottom, because after the river, then you've got to walk all the way up to the bus stop, and that's about 130 metres to climb up. But going to the river means you've actually got to touch the water, because if you don't touch the water, then you can't really say you've been down to the river.